right, well, welcome to Imperfect Together with Chris and Zach. I am Chris, this is Zach, and this is Tim Goodman. Tim is one of my favorite people. You're a leadership coach, right? Leadership coach, and just knows a lot. He's been EMT? Paramedic. See, I don't know the difference of the two.
Have you...
all the EMTs and paramedics are like, that's not the same.
Tim, I have a question. So you're a hypnotist.
What?
Can you hypnotize this fat off of me?
No.
No? Oh.
But you could hypnotize him to only eat vegetables.
Could you do that?
Or only eat a certain amount of calories a day, and that would help.
Can you do that?
I could teach you how to exercise and eat right.
But you can't hypnotize me to
saying you can't take a shortcut, Zach. We got to put in the work.
But some people could get hypnotized and will change their mindset about eating stuff. Guess what I had for lunch today?
Could be, I don't know.
I had 2 Whoppers.
It's a good start.
That's part of your problem.
I'm not proud of myself.
No, if you don't eat dinner, that's fine, but...
I probably won't.
If you do that
I had 2 Whoppers.
If you do that for weeks on end, it'll change your shape.
You start to look like one.
Oh, me. All right, jumping into the topic.
All right. What you got, Chris?
Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna throw out a scenario. I'm just gonna make it up off the top of my head. Throw out a scenario, and you just give me your initial reaction to it.
Okay.
Okay. So don't take a whole lot of time to think about it. Just initial reaction of how you would respond. All right. Okay. So let's say you are in high school and you are driving to school in the morning.
What kind of car is it?
Whatever car you want. Doesn't matter.
Can it be a truck?
It can be.
Can it be a monster truck?
Can be. I'm not sure how well that would fit into a parking spot. You probably have to buy. You would have to buy 2 parking spots.
No, this school doesn't. You don't have to pay parking spots.
Even better. You can park on top of the other cars.
Okay.
It might cost you a lot, but you can do it.
All right. So I have a monster truck.
So you have a monster truck. I already know how you're going to answer this one.
I've had this dream.
But hang on. You're pulling up into school. You're about to turn in your parking spot, and then this other dude just jets in right in front of you and parks in your spot, and then just gets out and walks off. Exactly. That's what I knew you were going to answer.
I'm about to run him over.
What is your initial reaction there?
I will run him over.
Him over?
Yeah.
That's murder.
Yeah. Well, don't. Hey, don't be swerving.
At least run over the car.
Huh?
All right. So you're trying to get revenge.
I hope it's a Corvette.
Is that parking spot that important to you?
I can see the mess that I made when I park in that spot.
I mean, I would be mad, but I'm not ready to commit murder over a parking spot.
Well, I found those 4 parking spots first.
Hey, you need the exercise anyways. Go park in the back of the parking lot. Work off them Whoppers.
No, man, that's why I got there early, so I could park right in front with my big monster.
So you're mad and want revenge. What's your initial response?
Have you seen Fried Green Tomatoes? I'm old and I have lots of insurance.
What does that mean?
You just have to see the movie.
Yeah, it's
She ran into the car.
So
over and over.
Yeah, so you're taking out the car.
I would probably, if
in real life, would you do that?
In real life, I would probably
because you don't want to pay for it.
Go to the back of the parking lot, cry.
Cry? You wouldn't cry. You'd just be mad.
He'd be mad.
I'd be mad. All right.
I'd run over Billy.
Oh, we've given him a name now.
So now you know
Billy.
Billy's
what if he's your friend?
See you, Bill.
Man, that parking spot just ruined our friendship. All right.
Your guts are going to look really nice on my tires.
Okay.
On the tread of my tires.
So at this point, you are ready to take this guy out, run over him or his car.
He's already gone.
Okay. Now, what if...
Can you come to the office?
All right. So that's scenario 1. Mm-hmm. Scenario 2, the same thing happens. But this time, you know that he had just gotten news that morning that his mom was in the hospital and she was diagnosed with cancer, and he was all upset, and so he was rushing to school because he also had this project he had to go get done and he was late for, but he didn't do it because he was with his mom and all this kind of stuff. How does that change the way that you see that situation? Are you still just as mad if you know that ahead of time? Or are you still going to murder him?
Nothing changes.
Nothing changes. You don't have any empathy for him whatsoever.
Nope.
We have a lot to work on.
Here's the thing. Even if I'm upset.
Doesn't excuse the behavior.
Even if I'm angry and I'm at a Walmart, guess what? I'm always going to put that cart where all the other carts are. I'm not going to be a jerk and just leave it there because I'm in a rush. Come on, man.
I agree with you.
Be a human.
I agree with that.
Yeah. So if you're willing to make dumb mistakes, you're able to,
How's it a dumb mistake for his mom getting
be on my
cancer?
treads. Huh?
How's that a dumb mistake for his mom getting cancer? That's not his fault.
No, it's not his fault that his mom got cancer, and I'm sorry that happened. But don't mess up my day.
You don't know. Maybe he wasn't even paying attention to you because he was just trying to do whatever.
Here's the thing.
I'm not excusing it. I'm just curious.
I'm in the thing of everyone has a part to play. Everyone needs to, fall in line. And this is a thing completely separate, but with Walmart. All right, you're at the parking lot.
You really have this problem with Walmart.
And you have this cart, and I always put it in the cart thing. I hate it when people just leave it there.
I agree.
It annoys the piss out of me. I'm sorry. I get so angry. and it's just like that. It's just like the person that just wonk. You know what I'm saying? Like,
okay, so we know that you have a lot. Okay,
like when
you've talked enough. I need to hear Tim's side.
Like when my dad had cancer and all this stuff, and it was around COVID and all that stuff. I remember a time when I was rushing, and I was like, man, it would be so easy just to put this cart right here, but I didn't. I put the cart in the thing like a human being, like a nice human being. Anyways, go on. What do you got, Tim?
I would say it would probably change. Just for the
I would think with most people it would. You would like, listen, I get it. It doesn't excuse the behavior. Now, that's a small scenario. You can take that scenario in a lot of different directions. I mean, it could be somebody you know really well or whatever, and just for whatever reason, maybe they did something or they irritated you or whatever it was, but there was a reason behind it.
Yeah.
Right? So I think it's important. I think it changes things when you know what's going on behind the scenes. Because oftentimes we think we just know people. Oh, I know all about you. And we are very quick to judge. Would you agree?
Yeah.
I think we're very quick to judge people. We think we know them.
I don't think it's really judging though. The thing is, if you cross me,
you were looking at this one little scenario. Let's get a big picture now. Big picture. You telling me that you're not quick to judge somebody based off of one thing that they do?
Here's the thing. If anyone crosses me like that, be prepared.
That is not even crossing you.
Be prepared.
That is you being super. All this tells us that you are lazy.
Over. It's not being
you are
judgmental.
lady and murderous.
It is the rule of the land. It is the rule of the road. If you cross someone, prepare to get crossed at, son.
Didn't Jesus say turn the other cheek? Shut up, Zach. All right, tell me a time then. Tell me a time when someone assumed something about you that wasn't true.
Assume something.
Either one of you. If you have to think about it, Tim can go.
Oh, there is always an assumption. I think one of the biggest assumptions that we have in society today being a big day in the country, is that people assume one thing based on what they perceive as your opinion of your candidate.
Yeah.
I think that probably is one that, not specific to me, but specific to a host of people, is there's an assumption about people's backgrounds and beliefs based on whether they favor one party versus the other, one candidate versus the other, or just the way that they choose their friends even. I think that's a lot of times as adults, we sometimes move further away from that, but as high schoolers, junior high, I think a lot of the judgment comes on choices of friends. And a lot of times, because this person chooses to do this, or this person says this, or they act in this way, dress, whatever characteristic, I think there's a lot of misjudgment based on that. And as adults, it's the same. We just choose to color it in different ways.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Has there been a time when you specifically been somebody assume something?
Yeah, people think that I'm an Olympic swimmer, and I have to constantly tell them that I'm not.
Yeah.
That's why you grew the beard.
Huh?
That's why you grew the beard.
Yeah, that and, because like when I swim, I mainly doggy paddle. But somehow
The doggy Olympics.
But somehow they think that I'm an Olympic swimmer. I don't know. Sometimes I go with it because it's fun,
Okay. Man, I get it. You're amazing. We all want to be like you, Zach.
I didn't say that I was amazing. I said that people assume that
Olympic
of me.
swimmers,
I'm not, though.
You're just the next Michael Phelps.
No, I don't want to be Michael Phelps. Guy has a lot of problems.
Hey, there's a judgment right there.
Yes.
What if you knew his story?
I sort of know the story.
That's okay.
I respect Michael Phelps. I just said that as a joke.
Oh, sure you did. Sure you did. Sorry, Michael. Because I know Michael's watching this.
Michael Phelps is watching.
Michael's watching it.
Michael Phelps
He is
is watching.
listening
You
in.
apologize to Michael Phelps, but not to Billy.
I love his butterfly swim. He's like,
You're not going to apologize to Billy for running over him?
huh? No, Billy's gone.
All right. Well, tell me about a time, because I know you've done this like you just did.
All right.
When is the time that you've assumed something about somebody else and later on maybe you found out something about them and it changed the whole way you thought about them?
Michael Phelps is a bad example because I
Yes,
always
that
respected
is.
Michael Phelps. That changed my come back to me. I'm pretty sure I have a good one. I just have to think about it.
You ever done that, Tim?
I have.
I mean, we all have. Just a matter of thinking of a good story. You got one?
To think of a good story immediately, no. I know that in the past, a lot of times we judge people on what we see from one situation. I was a paramedic for years, and to see certain calls and see a reaction of people, you assume that their skill level falls into a certain category or their reaction to certain types of trauma or illness based on what you see in one situation may not be based on reality. It could be based on the fact that there's a reactionary event that led to that. That could have been something that was very closely related to maybe their family. Maybe someone in their family had just been diagnosed in a similar fashion. And so you see their reaction and you assume that they aren't able to handle certain levels of stress. And that's turned out in a time or two for me not to be the case. So I would say that's probably one that would come to mind, not specifically, but.
I mean, I think as high schoolers, obviously that's what we're gearing this towards. This is just part of high school. That's what we do all the time. We don't take the time to get to know people. We just immediately assume we know something about them or we don't like them because they did this or did that, which is totally unfair on our part.
I think for me, Lance Armstrong comes to mind.
Okay. Just curious where we're going with this.
Yeah. So he was, he got the Live Strong bracelets and all this stuff. And then, he had cancer and all this stuff. And then we find out that he has steroids. And everyone was quick to judge that one thing, but we find out that he used the steroids to kind of help with the cancer treatment. And there's a whole bunch of stuff with that. And like the doctors subscribe some of that stuff to help him with whatever hormone, whatever it is. But everyone, the whole world was like, oh, Lance sucks and all this stuff. And it's like, bro just had cancer. He took,
we're quick to judge.
He took some supplements. Yeah. But it's like, I don't think we take away all his achievements and all the things that he done. And I think the same thing with baseball. Like Jerry Maguire, no, that's Tom Cruise.
Show me the money.
That's Tom Cruise. I'm thinking of the other Maguire.
Mark.
Oh, Mark Maguire. Yeah, I remember
Maguire.
that.
Like the whole the dude was roided out of his mind, but the dude still hit the biggest home run ever.
Because he was roided out of his mind. There's a relation there, but
still
listen, we're not going to get into a debate on this. Not that I have an opinion one way or the other because I don't know enough about them. But
I don't know.
Here's the deal, though. I think we're often too quick to judge, and a lot of times we want we want people to understand us. Like, why don't you just understand me? But we're often not very quick to understand others.
Yeah.
Right. And I think this is one of the things that Jesus did really well was he took the time to actually understand people. Right. So we've been talking the last couple of weeks about Zacchaeus and how, Zacchaeus was hated by everybody. And yet he still took the time to call him out and say, hey, I want to go to your house and I want to get to know you a little bit. And that's what it did. And what ultimately changed everything for him was he had this experience with Jesus because Jesus took time to get to know him, where he paid he's like, I'm going to pay everybody back 4 times what I stole from them. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Like, it wasn't just words. It was something has changed in me because somebody took the time to understand me and to get to know me. Right. And I think that is something that we lack and that we need to probably get better at. And you look at the people in the town where it actually says, so after Jesus kind of called him out by name, said, I'm coming to your house, the next verse says, but the people were displeased that he has gone to be the guest of a notorious sinner, and they grumbled. Right? Everybody else was ticked off that Jesus chose to hang out with this sinner instead of them because they all judged him. They all thought they knew who he was, but the reality was they didn't take the time to really understand him. And yes, Zacchaeus screwed up. He made a lot of mistakes, but I think we all do that. So what kind of difference then does it make if we begin to change the way that we see people, right? So I have a question here. If Jesus is God and already knew that Zacchaeus' story, then why did he need to visit him in his home?
I think to make it personal, to make it, he knew everything about Zacchaeus, but it was giving him an opportunity to share his story, and feel, because if Zacchaeus, all right, so Jesus is in Zacchaeus' home, and Zacchaeus is like, oh yeah, I've had a hard life, blah, 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 and Jesus goes, don't worry, I already know all of it. You don't have to talk to me. That's kind of, like, oh, okay. Yeah. But what about, don't worry about it, man. That was sucky for you. And it's like, you didn't really sit and actually talk to him. I think that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
I think something that Zach said kind of relates to what I wanted to say in relation to the question is, a lot of times our assumptions are right. Mm-hmm. A lot of the things that we assume about people or we think about people turn out to be true. The people thought Zacchaeus was a bad person. Zacchaeus was a bad person. Their assumptions, their thoughts were true. But getting to know someone in spite of what we think, believe, or could be, we understand. A&E, old TV channel, their story was, or their title was, Every Life Has a Story. Mm-hmm. And regardless of whether that story creates a reason that we're the way we are, or that facilitates, or it explains, every life has a story. We have a story, they have a story. And sometimes we look at people, and that is true. And Jesus going to Zacchaeus didn't need to learn that Zacchaeus was a good person or bad person. He knew. Mm-hmm. But he needed people to see that every person was important. Every life was important to have a relationship with, regardless of what we thought or the reality, that their story was important. So he made it very personal to go to Zacchaeus. Yeah. And as we have talked in lessons in different weeks, is Jesus does make things personal. We don't know all of the stories that happened along the parade route that day. He probably high-fived some people there and knew their story, talked to them maybe along the way. But this story relates so that people understand that Jesus does have a very personal relationship, not just with the people we assume that he will, the disciples. We think, oh, Jesus and the disciples. But if we go back and we look at the story, one of the people who was one of Jesus' 12 was just like Zacchaeus. Mm-hmm. He was a tax collector. He was in that same boat. So the assumptions, though they may be true, still lend themselves to the fact that that person is someone with whom we need to create some relationship, connection, and community.
They're still valuable.
Very much.
I think one of the things we often overlook is we forget that Jesus gave up his godness. I don't know the right way to say that, but he gave up being God and came down to earth to experience human life. Right?
He didn't give up on being God. Change that.
Let me read it, and we'll discuss that. Philippians. This is in Philippians 2, 5-8.
All right.
It says, you must have the same attitude that Christ Jesus had. Though he was God, he did not think of equality with God as something to cling to. Instead, he gave up his divine privileges, and he took a humble position of a servant and was born as a human being. And when he appeared in human form, he humbled himself in obedience to God and died a criminal's death on a cross. So he gave up his whole godness and said, even though I am God, I'm going to be a human, which means he had to go through being a baby and poopy diapers and dealing with
They
siblings.
didn't have diapers back then. Go on.
Even worse, poopy loincloths, whatever,
Yeah.
cloths,
It's
whatever
probably
they
silk,
wore,
Because Jesus.
whatever it was.
Yeah.
He went through all
Or
that.
hay.
So he has this understanding of what we're going through.
Yeah.
Right? Jesus isn't surprised by anything that we deal with. And I think we forget that sometimes, that Jesus cares us. And he, things are personal with Jesus because he understands our story.
Mm-hmm.
I think that can be a game changer in not only the way we view ourselves, and because sometimes we're just too hard on ourselves, not only the way we view ourselves, but how we treat other people.
Yeah.
When it comes to sharing your own story, and we're going to kind of wrap up with this, a lot of times it's very difficult for us to share our own story, whether it's we don't think it's a good story or we think we're too bad or whatever. Like, what are some reasons why you think it is so difficult for us to share our story with other people? Because a lot of times we just keep it hidden. We don't want them to know this side of us.
Yeah. It's personal. It's, you don't want to be vulnerable with something that's already still kind of fresh to you. Like, you don't want to, I don't know. That's what I got. That would be.
So that really goes down to we're almost afraid of judgment in some form or fashion.
Yeah.
We don't want people looking into our mirror. We want them to see what we want them to see. We don't want them to see all the bumps and bruises and all the bad things that would qualify us to be in the realm of assumptions that people thought Zacchaeus was this way. Well, he was. Mm-hmm. And sometimes we want people to think that we aren't what we are because we've not been willing to deal with it. Or we may think, like you said, that our story's not that important. It's not that special. I've done nothing good. I've done nothing bad. I'm just average and I'm nothing special. And we have created this image of heroes or people who really make a difference or people that we want to be associated with or tie ourselves to. And we just don't feel that we fit that. But we still have to go back to that every person is important. And Jesus made it personal to give us that example.
What would be the benefits to sharing our story with other people?
Well, for one, the fact that they would be more open to share. But I think the fact that we are taking a step and becoming open and becoming vulnerable to say, I'm not afraid of connection. I'm not afraid of being willing to let you in so that you can tell me your story, so that I can show to you. There's no level of perfection. There's no level of greatness that I have, but also the fact that the things that people see when they look in their mirror, they know the failures that they have. Mm-hmm. To be able to say, hey, I've made the same mistakes is a big opportunity for people to connect. And connecting that gives us the opportunity to share not just our story, but the story of our transformation or story of our faith journey or whatever it may be as well.
Yeah. Yeah, any final thoughts? I think when it comes to this, if we were to have some kind of a challenge, I think we all fall in different categories. But like if you're listening and something's resonating with you, I think there's 3 different kinds of people that may connect with this, right? So first is like some of you, like we need to wrestle with the idea and acknowledge that Jesus actually knows our story. He knows every piece of us, all the good, all the bad, all the things that we think that we're hiding. You know, he knows it all, and yet he still cares. He still loves you. And some of us need to wrestle with that because that's a hard thing for us to grasp and understand. I think some others of us, we need to share our story with somebody else, and somebody that you're close to, right? Somebody that you just need to just talk through some of these things with. You know, in our context, it would be like a small group leader. But if you're watching this and you're not part of our church, you know, it's somebody that you can trust, that you can begin to share your story with, so they can begin to know you, and you can just begin to get that out. And I think for others, we have to start taking the time to really understand other people's stories. Because when we understand other people's stories, we have more empathy for them. We're not so quick to judge them, but we begin to understand who they are. And not only does that change our perspective and how we treat people, but I think it helps other people, you know, make it through life better. And yeah, because I think we live through this life where we're constantly feel like we're judged or somebody's against us or either saying this about me or whatever. And the reality is, you know, the more we actually care about people and act like Jesus and take time to understand their story, how could that affect their life, right? Because the reality is, understanding somebody's story can end up changing everything about a person. Whether it's you or myself, taking the time to do that changes everything. And so I think it's important for us to consider that. And, you know, I wonder, like, you know, how many, you think of like not natural disasters, you know, a lot of stories of people shooting up schools, or, I mean, that's an extreme case, but even smaller cases of things that happen in people's lives that could have been avoided if people actually took the time to understand them instead of constantly judging them and, you know, all acting like bull. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, I think that's a big deal. And something as simple as just taking time to sit down with you and understand you can have a huge impact on somebody's life. So that's my challenge. Take time to get to know people. Actually care about people. We're human beings. We all suck. Yep. We're all screwed up. That's why this is called Imperfect Together, because we're all imperfect. So anyways, any last thoughts from you guys?
If you see Zach in a monster truck, don't pull into his spot.
Don't do it.
Just stay away in general, because he's going to take you out.
I don't care if it's my mother pulling
I think we may need to get some counseling. There's some much deeper issues going on here that...
My mother's pulling in. I'm sorry, Mom.
Don't take my spot!
I'm about to get knocked.
All right. Well, thanks for hanging out with us today. Tim, thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
You're a wise dude. Zach, never know what you're going to say. That's why you're here. Makes it fun. But hey, thanks for being here, and catch us next week. See you later.
See you guys.